Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is throw my mustard seeds into the hot oil. We've got hot sunflower oil in there which has been heating up. You really want to use sunflower oil or nut oil. You really don't want to use olive oil because olive oil will burn at these temperatures. So you want to get the oil nice and hot. As soon as I throw these in, they're going to start sizzling and spitting. Well, they will when the oil gets hot enough. There you go, they're starting to sizzle now. When they start to spit a little, I'm going to throw these curry leaves in. These curry leaves were fresh when I bought them, and they've been in the freezer. They seem to keep quite well in the freezer, so that's quite a good way to do it. They're hard to get hold of, but if you go to sort of Asian shops in the centre of London, you can get them. Right, these are starting to spit. As you can hear, they get everywhere, mustard seeds as well, so don't let them jump for too long. Throw these going. And when the curry leaves are just getting brown, which takes a few seconds, you can smell them, it's a great smell. I'm going to throw the mushrooms in. Okay, turn the heat up. Now, believe it or not, there is a secret to frying mushrooms, and the thing to do is not to fry them for too long. You need to fry them fairly hot for a short amount of time until the outside of the mushroom is just fried, but it keeps its juice. Because if you fry mushrooms for too long, they leak all the juice out, and it's terrible. I'm sure we've all had the terrible greasy spoon breakfast where they bring you the fried mushrooms, and it's just watery mushrooms on a watery plate, with the water from the mushrooms getting into the water from the awful tin tomatoes, which is leaking into your baked beans and your sausage and everything. So the secret with these, get the oil nice and hot, just chuck the mushrooms in, turn them a bit. When you can smell them frying, they're pretty much ready, they're pretty much cooked. So I'm just going to leave that. Put the heat on maximum, don't be afraid of burning them. So now this oil, basically the oil is flavoured with mustard seeds, curry leaves and mushrooms, and that's the way we want it because there's no oil in there, in the dal, remember we boiled it. So I'm going to stir these around for a minute more. The mushrooms are just about the stage where they're going to start leaking water, I can tell by looking at them. So I'm going to turn this off, chuck the whole thing in there. And that's the seasoning, or that's the tarka as they call it in Indian restaurants these days. I'm from an Anglo-Indian family, we call it the seasoning. I mean, people can put onions, garlic, shallots, whatever in this seasoning stroke tarka. So I'm going to leave that in there like that. Just before I serve it, I'm going to give it a stir and then serve it out. So you can make this in advance and just leave it like that. And if it goes, you know, gets a bit cold, just turn the heat on a little bit, bubble it up, give it a stir and serve it out straight away. You might want to put a squeeze of lemon in there as well, that's very nice. So that's the seasoning done. Okay, the dal's done and it's waiting. It's poppadom time. Now, I bought these from Sainsbury's. These are the kind of thing you want, but you can get different brands. Different shops. Go to Asian shops, you get a lot of different brands. I think the ones in Asian shops are better actually, but they look like this. They're made of gram flour, which is lentil flour, and they're dry, they're that big. This size poppadom is a sort of size thing that inflates to so big, the ones that you're used to in the restaurant. Because we're doing them at home, we've got a small pan, I always do them in quarters. And I like them better that way actually, they fry nicely and they're great. So yeah, I'm going to fry some poppadoms. Okay, so we're going to fry the poppadoms. We've got a pan with very hot oil here. Again, sunflower oil or nut oil, because olive oil will burn. It feels really hot. The way to test whether it's hot is to hold your hand about this high above it. If your hand starts to burn about that high, then you know it's getting hot enough. Again, it's important to have steady hands while doing this, so I also use a hand steadying preparation this stuff. This is very good for steadying your hands, and I recommend it when frying poppadoms. I mean, maybe don't use it when dealing with hot oil in all circumstances, but it's good in this job. Okay, the way to test whether the oil is hot enough to fry the poppadom is to break off a small section of one of them, like so, and throw it in. If it starts to bubble and expand, then the oil is hot enough. If it simply floats and doesn't do anything, then the oil isn't hot enough yet. So I'm going to chuck this in and see what happens. As you can see, that instantly bubbled and changed shape. Now what poppadoms do when they're frying is they curl. They tend to curl in on themselves like that. So a really handy tool to have for this is a pair of tongs, so you can stop them doing that and then you get nice poppadoms. Now, I'm just going to throw them in and you can watch me frying them. It's a simple trial and error job, really quick, really easy. The main thing is you have to be quick. Fry them on one side, stop them curling, turn them over, fry them on the other side, take them out, drain them well because they hold a lot of oil, and then chuck them in the plate with kitchen roll, absorbent kitchen paper, which will stop them retaining too much oil. Okay, here we go. I'm turning the fan up because it's quite smoky, so I'm not going to speak anymore. As soon as you've finished, turn the oil off, turn the heat off, take the oil off the heat, it's very important. Safety first. Okay, steady your hands. Poppadoms are fried now. They're really nice, they're fresh, as you can hear. They're lovely. In fact, once you start eating them, you really don't want to stop. I'll be with you in a minute. But I'm from an Anglo-Indian family. When we were growing up, poppadoms were served with the main meal, with the curry. Freshly fried as always, and they're fantastic. I mean, they're nice served before the meal with pickles, but I just think that ruins your appetite. I recommend next time you make a curry at home, fry some poppadoms, eat them with the curry. You won't be disappointed. So there you go, we've got some poppadoms. Here's a 3 lentil dal, seasoned with mushrooms and mustard seeds, and the freshly fried poppadoms. That's all for now, see you next time.